new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us at 1-877-605-9200.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to the What Really Happened radio show. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show. It's Friday, March 15th, 2013. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Getting ready for another relaxing weekend. Maybe not here. We got another big storm on the way in that they're doing flood warnings and all this other stuff about here. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Sam is sitting in our control room today, ready to pick up the phone when you call on him with your concerns. And, of course, in hour number 3 today, the lovely Lady Claire will be joining us with her unique perspective on what's going on in the world. Now, today, March 15th, is International Day Against Police Brutality. And, of course, the New York Police Department are celebrating by declaring temporary martial law in Flatbush, Brooklyn, as riots continue to grow over the shooting of this young man in the back. And witnesses are saying there was no gun. The gun the cops claimed that this kid has, it's a drop gun. We know police do this. They have an old, untraceable gun on them. They shoot somebody, they put the gun on them and say, he shot at us. Except now we know that gets done, and it's a powder keg over there. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. A reminder, tomorrow, March 16th, is the 10-year anniversary of the murder of Rachel Corrie underneath the treads of an Israeli bulldozer that was demolishing Palestinian homes. The civil case is still dragging through the court system. Justice delayed is justice denied. At every step of the process, Israel's lawyers say continuance, delay, we need more time. They're just going to run it out until Rachel's parents die. No sense of responsibility, no sense of shame. Not at all. Now, I'm going to indulge in one of my periodic rants about the state of the computer industry in this country. Yesterday, after my show was over, my Wi-Fi router failed. Now, I'm not unhappy with that one. It was a Linksys, and I had it for a long time, so I don't have a complaint there. But I want to underscore something. That Linksys router would communicate with every Wi-Fi device I have, which we all sort of assume that's what's supposed to happen. So I go on down to my local computer store, and I say, I'd like a new Linksys router. Oh, we don't carry Linksys anymore. We've got the Belkins. All right, give me the Belkin you've got there. No, we don't have those in stock. You know, we only have the one we think most people will buy. You know, freedom of choice has definitely gone out of the door on retail. So I get this Belkin Wi-Fi router, and I'm already kind of leery because they've got USB ports on the back, which doesn't strike me as something I'm ever going to need, and I don't want to have to pay for, and it's adding pointless complexity to an already complex devices. So I bring the Belkin home, and I plug it all in, and 3 hours later, I still can't get it to communicate with all of my Wi-Fi devices. And I'm going out on the net, and I'm seeing all these blogs about how, oh, yeah, the Belkin Wi-Fi, it's got problems communicating with iPod and iPad over WPA2. And I'm looking at all these different little standards, the 808 BIFZIM ComFam Pack version 2 standard, the fact that password length is not standardized, their different implementations have different, and it's just an absolute nightmare. And I finally get to the end of it. I've got this thing talking to all but one of my laptops, And the really weird thing is the laptop that will not work with this Belkin is running the same operating system as another laptop that will. And it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm going on out there, and Belkin is pointing the finger of guilt at Apple, and Apple's pointing the finger back at Belkin. And I actually found a web page at Belkin that said, probably you just ought to run without security. Yeah, what a great idea. After buying a secure Wi-Fi router, just run without the security and all will be well. I'm going to take a break for commercials. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when we come back, and its implications for why our nation is in such dire straits. We'll be right back.
An effective 100% organic nutritional supplement is now available to be shipped out to you rush delivery. Heart and Body Extract is a 100% natural, organic, and wild-crafted formula made out of garlic, hawthorn berries, hawthorn leaves, coleus, motherwort, bilberry, butcher's broomkill, mistletoe, ginger, and cayenne pepper. It is an excellent formula designed to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. It is extremely effective and starts to work within days. Order your 2-month supply by visiting heartandbody.com or by calling 866-295-5305. 866-295-5305. Take the high road to a long and happy life. Heartandbody.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Now, more than ever, killing many viruses and bacteria in our homes and at work is important. With the flu epidemic running rampant, you need to protect yourself and your family the best you can with purified air. Our air purifiers not only kill many viruses and bacteria in the air, but on surfaces too. Our air purifiers will also kill molds, fungi, mildew, oxidizes chemical fumes and toxic gases, removes dust, pollen, pet odors, and smoke. We have portable units, HVAC and industrial size units. In our homes today, protect your family the best you can by calling 1-877-605-9200 or go to our online store at republicbroadcasting.org. Call today to receive your 10% off and free shipping on any home unit. 1-877-605-9200.
What really happened? Wouldn't you like to know? Judith fighting Pharaoh, Billy and Radio. Tired of the mainstream media's lies. Listening to microphone, open your eyes. Judith fighting Pharaoh, Billy and Radio.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And I'm talking about my tale of woe over my new Belkin Wi-Fi router. And I'm already missing my old Linksys that I had for all those years because I brought it home and I plugged it in and everything worked. That was it. Everything was working. Set up security, worked with all of my devices. Belkin, 3 hours of my time last night, and I still couldn't get it to work with all the devices. And I'm looking down the list of all the protocols and security this and different encryption that, and it's just this huge long list. Now, a long time ago, in a land called America, we used to have something called the National Bureau of Standards. It's been renamed, and now it's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. The problem is we don't have standards anymore. And I'm not just talking about computers. We ran into this with like video codecs. One of the production companies I worked for many years ago, the Ohana Learning Foundation, was virtually paralyzed because the method of encoding video on this editing system didn't quite match the video codec that was being used over here for our authoring system. And it went on and on and on. And we literally had an entire room full of DVD players to make sure our DVDs would actually work on all the machines, because the DVD standard isn't standard from one machine to the other. We don't have a standards here in the United States anymore. We have a million tiny variations on a theme, supporting a million patents and a million licensing fees, and everybody grabbing their piece of the action. They're waging financial war with each other on our desktops, in our TVs, in our smartphones. And these little variations have clogged up our ability to move our data along smoothly and efficiently. And that costs time. That 3 hours that I spent on this problem last night is time that I was not working on my website, not prepping for the show, not writing on this book I'm trying to get done, not spending time even with my wife. It was completely unproductive time that got me nothing at all. I'm sure the poor quality of this product made the people at Belkin a few extra pennies, but it didn't do me any good at all. So I have a message out there to the money junkies. I know it is an article of faith that you are just hopelessly attached to. That the reason America, the 99% are becoming poorer and poorer, is we're just lazy. We just don't want to do any work. Actually, we do. We're working as hard as we can. We just can't get any work done. In the money junkies' haste to put a few extra pennies in the pockets, they have crippled this nation's productivity by selling all these tools that we need to do our jobs, and they don't work. We're spending more time making the tools work than using the tools to get real work done, work that we could sell, export. Whether it's planned obsolescence, you're just cutting the corners and saying, we'll let the customers find the problems. It's transferring the burden to the American people, and we're working very hard dealing with that. But because we are paralyzed by these systems, we're not getting work done that could lead to profitability. We're not lazy. We've never worked as hard as we can, but we're crippled with these poor quality tools. And it's not just us, because the money junkie attitude has infected every part of our economy, including our weapons systems that were supposed to be the best in the world. F-22 is still asphyxiating its pilots. F-35 is grounded. Even when it wasn't grounded, they had problems. The naval variant won't land on a carrier. They put the arrestor hook in the wrong location. It still gets electronics malfunction if it gets rained on. Pentagon just issued a report. It's not going to hold its own in a dogfight against any of the contemporary Russian jets that are being put out there. So you money junkies made this situation where this nation cannot compete productively with the rest of the world, and is very well going to lose this war you think is going to solve all your problems. And by the way, it's not just weapons and computers. Another Carnival ship, the Legend, is in trouble. That's 4 in 2 months. We have gone down too far this path of let's cut some corners to maximize profitability and keep those stockholders happy. Our nation is being torn apart. It is fracturing and fragmenting. It's grinding to a halt. It's being killed by money junkie greed. Going to go to the phones here. Tony from Connecticut. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Wanted to ask you about North Dakota. They have their own state-owned bank, if I understand it correctly, and I understand their economy is doing very well in North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if it is tied in to the Federal Reserve System. What is the difference? Because it seems to be part and parcel, apart from most other state banks. You have an answer for that, Mike?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Now, obviously, because North Dakota is part of the United States of America, they are, under the legal tender laws, required to transact all business using Federal Reserve notes. So on that level, they are still tangled up with the Federal Reserve. The reason the state bank is working for North Dakota better than private banking is that the State Bank of North Dakota is being run with an idea to what is best for the state, making sure the economy is working rather than private profit going into the pockets of the bank's owners. And even that little difference is enough to significantly alter the economy of North Dakota and the quality of life up there in North Dakota. It's about halfway to the best solution, which is for every state to have a state bank, for the U.S. government to have a state bank and go back to a value-based currency. But even that partial step by North Dakota is obviously showing and underscoring what is wrong with the private central banking model.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, Mike, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of what you talked about Iceland, kind of kicking the bankers out and kind of doing their own thing. And I don't know why more states don't follow that model. Seeing that... Well,
because bankers are very, very generous campaign donors. That's it.
I got you. That's what it comes down to. They're all, they're pimps, and they buy and pay for politicians, and that's how the whole game works.
That's exactly how it works. That is why our nation fought a revolution to be free of that very style of banking, and then our own politicians turned around and 3 times sold us back into that slavery.
Well, Mike, I thank you for that. I was uncertain as to what the difference was, but you kind of nailed it for me, so I wanted to thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you very much there. Now, yesterday I was talking about this conversation I had with my wife about human compassion and why most people seem to have it and some don't. And I speculated that maybe people who are very compassionate are so because they have suffered harm or injury or felt a lot of pain earlier in their life. And that leads them to identify with pain when they see it in others. And that people born to very privileged lifestyles, they inherit a lot of money, or they become successful very, very early in life, or they marry into money, are not compassionate because they literally can't see it. Well, it turns out I may be wrong about that, because over at the Corbett Report, they had a very interesting article, Reflections on Political Ponerology. And basically they're talking about the concept of successful psychopaths. And what they mean by that is the unsuccessful psychopaths are the violent serial killers, Ted Bundy, that kind of thing. Successful psychopaths are those who are still psychopaths, but they seem to function within society, or at least they create that illusion. People like Stalin, Pol Pot, Dick Cheney, Rockefeller, Kissinger, Bill Clinton, Donald Rumsfeld. And they have this word, the pathocracy. They're basically saying 4 to 6% of the human population is physiologically unable to feel empathy. It's a defect. Their brain is broken. They can't feel empathy or altruism. They're emotionless, selfish, cold, calculating, devoid of any moral and ethical standards. Yet, they are intelligent, charming, driven, focused, and they tend to achieve high positions of power because they're utterly, coldly ruthless. And basically the article is, any hierarchical power structure is going to become dominated by these sociopaths, which we've already known. And I think one of the reasons that the Founding Fathers set up the nation the way they did, with 3 branches of government keeping an eye on each other, was they recognized that power attracts the very sort of personality that should never be allowed to have it. Now, they didn't have the words psychopath or sociopath or any understanding of mental illness, but just observations with their own eyes. And the history of Europe showed this to be true. And so they wanted to create a government where even if somebody with these tendencies got into power, their ability to cause harm to the nation was held in check by the other branches of government. Obviously, we have moved away from that. And it's another argument against this idea of large empires or global government, that the way to hold these sociopaths in check from harming the entire planet is to have a planet with 1,000 little tiny nations, so that even if one of these nations is under the control of a psychological monster, and 4 to 6% of them will be, in theory, they can't do that much damage. But one of my biggest arguments against a global government is, sooner or later, there'll be another Hitler. And then what do you do when there's no place else on earth that can stand up to them and say, you shouldn't do that? We'll be right back after these commercials.
Herbal Healer Academy's new summer specials. Our 500 parts per million colloidal silver, all sizes on sale. Organic liquid iodine, liquid cal, meg, vitamin D, CoQ10 with hawthorn, colon enhancer, Super 2, natural laxative, our exceptional product Connexin, memory power, and super male and femplex. All on sale for the summer at herbalhealer.com. Also, 10% off on the HHA survival course. This is an important time to have this information. Might save your life. Nation's leader in supplying quality natural medicine and education. herbalhealer.com. Free online newsletter. Quality natural medicine supplier since 1988. We ship the same day you place your order. Free 128-page catalog with your first order. Go to herbalhealer.com today. herbalhealer.com. What do you need? You need Paracord. CampingSurvival.com is providing you U.S. military 550 Paracord. 550 tensile strength, military specifications. Made in the USA. Available in 3,000, 1,000, 600, 300, 150 lengths. You can purchase yours now at CampingSurvival.com. Lowest prices on Paracord. Huge selection. All ready to be shipped. Black Paracord, 1,000 feet. Only $39.83 right now on CampingSurvival.com. But wait, use the code FREEDOM when purchasing and save 5% off. Paracord is a unique material used for many different reasons. Get yours from CampingSurvival.com now. Confidence born of preparation. CampingSurvival.com.
With financial uncertainty circling the globe due to job losses, decline in the housing market, a climate of corruption, bailouts, currency rigging, and unfair competition, many are once more turning to precious metals as the only hedge against the uncertainty of the future. With the U.S. House conducting hearings on proposals to confiscate workers' personal retirement accounts, including 401ks and IRAs, this is the time to secure your assets. Call Republic Trading Group today, 800-691-7898 before this happens, and find out how easy it is to convert your existing IRA and in some instances your 401k plan into real wealth now. Don't let the ravages of hyperinflation caused by the massive increase of fiat currency now flooding world markets affect your retirement account. Call RTG at 800-691-7898 and experience the security and peace of mind that only real gold and silver can offer. That number again is 800-691-7898. Call now.
There was a mighty nation, blessed above all of creation. It was a rare and precious pearl, conceived in faith and liberty, home of the brave, land of the free. It was the envy of the world. But this shining city on a hill has turned from the Creator's will and let evil take control. Now the reckless.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And just taking a quick look at the stock market. There was a very large drop at the opening bell, and then the magic elves over at the Plunge Protection Team were starting to massage the market for its traditional Friday happy ending. But it looks like they may be falling short. Now, there's still a couple more hours to go on it. But the markets are in the red, not decisively so. It's not time to jump out of windows or anything like that. But we've seen it all the time. They always want the markets to end in the green on Friday, so everybody goes home happy and stops thinking about the obvious signs that the economy is in serious, serious trouble. Now, I want to talk a little bit here about what's been going on over in Brooklyn, specifically in Flatbush. Now, it is a high-crime area. There's a lot of tension, a lot of racial tension that is in the area. And there was this very tragic shooting where a young man was shot by the police who insisted he had pulled a gun on them. And then the autopsy came back showing that this kid had been shot in the back. And there are questions whether or not that gun that the police claimed was in fact planted by the police themselves. And we know that that goes on all the time. Now, what is really kind of an interesting aspect of this is that up until just this last day, this story was mostly existing on social media, in the independent media, here in the blogosphere. And the corporate media wasn't really paying a lot of attention to it. But there's been like 4 days of riots in Brooklyn. And the media was off looking at all these other things that were going on here, being contentized. And I think the reason is because following Benghazi, they saw all these spontaneous riots spread across the entire Mideast. And I think the concern is the entire American nation has been pushed to the breaking point. And rioting in one city could easily spark riots in other cities. And it could. It absolutely could. But it's very interesting that because of the coverage on the independent media, the social media, the corporate media is finally having to deal with this. And they're taking the official line, oh, the kid had it coming, he had a gun, the police would never, ever, ever lie to us about anything that important, blah, 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 blah. But the hostility is definitely there. They're describing Brooklyn as a powder keg over at Business Insider, and they're absolutely right. This riot, if this shooting had happened in a healthy, productive economy where we had some sense of confidence that our government was being truthful with us and the corporate media was being truthful with us and the money junkies weren't just looting the place with wild, reckless abandon, it would be tragic. There'd be a couple of peaceful marches and that would be the end of it. The violence is a symptom of just how angry Americans are getting. And so the officer shot this 16-year-old kid, told him 7 times, 3 times in the back. And the witnesses are saying they didn't see a gun. His mother just made a statement saying, no, he didn't own a gun. He wasn't that kind of kid. And so they're screaming racism, racism, racism. And it's an ugly, ugly situation. So the New York Police Department has declared a portion of Flatbush, sort of the core of this whole thing, a frozen zone. That is the new euphemism for martial law. In other words, the media are not allowed in. They don't want the media talking to anybody who actually saw what happened. And if you are in this frozen zone and you are given an order by the police and you refuse to obey it, you can be arrested. It's martial law. Now, the last time the New York Police Department declared a frozen zone was on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and I did see that when I was there in New York for that. And, of course, during Occupy Wall Street. They're creating these frozen zones to keep the media out so they're not going to see what the cops are doing, and to basically allow the police to act in an unconstitutional manner. Because the police are not allowed to give you arbitrary orders unless you are committing an actual crime, at which point you can be arrested. So the story is getting a lot of coverage out here in the blogosphere And the corporate media is finally having to pay attention to it because everybody knows what's going on. We saw the same thing back during the aftermath of the invasion of Iraq when the Downing Street memo surfaced that confirmed the propaganda was being engineered around an existing agenda to invade Iraq. And it was big news here on the blogosphere for about a month. And when it reached enough people, the corporate media finally had to say, yeah, there was this memo that kind of made it sound like that we were lying to start the war. So the corporate media is reacting to us, which means we here in the independent media and the social media, meaning you, the American people, have the initiative in the war for the minds of America. The government and the corporate media have